September 2024. The world's attention, for once, is not on headlines from Silicon Valley or the dark web dens of Russia, but on the digital heart of the African continent, swept into a new kind of battle. Here, under the codename Operation Serengeti, 19 nations unite in secret, tracing digital footprints that lead from the red soils of Nairobi to the crowded streets of Lagos to the server racks buzzing in Dakar and beyond. In just 60 days, over 1,000 suspected cybercriminals are arrested in one of the largest coordinated stings in modern history. 1,006 arrests, over 134,000 malicious networks dismantled, and nearly $200 million in losses averted. Yet, behind these figures, the true story is a human one. A silent war in which every click could upend a life, and every phishing email might spark a global investigation. Interpol's Secretary General Valdeci Urquiza puts it simply: from multi-level marketing scams to credit card fraud on an industrial scale, the increasing volume and sophistication of cybercrime attacks is of serious concern. But for investigators and criminals alike, the true scale of the drama is only just beginning. Welcome to Cybercrime History, where we pick apart the web's darkest secrets. Africa's digital revolution was supposed to be its great leap. By 2024, more than 700 million Africans are online, embracing mobile finance, social media, and opportunity. But for every new connection, a new vulnerability emerges. In the humid cyber cafes of Lagos and the tech hubs of Nairobi, a new breed of digital predator is rising. These are not the lone wolf hackers of old, but organized syndicates, tech-savvy, multilingual, and fearless. They see the internet not just as a utility, but as a weapon capable of crossing borders, blending identities, and leaving only silence in its wake. At the center of this ecosystem is not a single mastermind, but cells and networks, fluid alliances that span cities and continents. In Kenya, a college dropout known only online as Kipakcha discovers a flaw in a major bank's API. He's young, brilliant, hungry. In his hands, a few lines of code become the keys to a vault. Over mere weeks, he and his associates orchestrate a theft of $8.6 million, bouncing the money through shell companies in Dubai, China, and Malta. No ski masks, no getaway cars, just digital fingerprints and accounts that disappear as fast as they are made. In Dakar, a luxurious villa is alive, but inside, the racket isn't laughter. It's the cacophony of hundreds of burner phones and laptops, managed by a group of Chinese nationals and African partners. Here, the line between scam and spectacle blurs. Their CEO is an AI-powered persona who delivers promises of blockchain riches to investors across the continent. $6 million is pulled in from 1,811 victims, with promotional materials featuring convincing but fabricated endorsements. And in Yaoundé, Cameroon, the digital merges with the physical in the darkest way. Dozens of young people from 7 countries, lured by the promise of blockchain internships, are kept captive in a windowless compound. Here, the new slavery is digital. Victims are forced to work scam call centers, sending spam, launching phishing campaigns, and, most chilling of all, told that freedom depends on recruiting 10 more into the same trap. This is the invisible epidemic turning the promise of Africa's digital future into a nightmare. Cybercrime in Africa is evolving at breakneck speed. The criminals now wield tools and tactics only dreamed of a decade ago. The most insidious attacks rarely start with a virus. They start with a story, an email, crafted to mimic a corporate memo, lands in a bank employee's inbox. Or a WhatsApp message promising high-yield investments targets a grandmother in Kenya. Thanks to AI, these campaigns use perfect grammar, local languages, and even synthesized voices, convincing even the skeptical. As banking and government systems migrate online, criminals shift tactics to attack remote access points. In Angola, a virtual casino is infiltrated not by brute force, but by quietly exploiting weaknesses in unsecured remote desktop connections. Once inside, syndicates manipulate the odds, launder money, and collect commissions from hundreds of gamblers, all from a small rented flat. The BEC scam has become a backbone of African cybercrime. Syndicates intercept procurement emails, spoof executive accounts, and reroute payments, sometimes using AI-generated audio to trick staff. In Nigeria, a single man manages to pull off over $300,000 in fraudulent cryptocurrency investments through a network of fake personas and sophisticated social engineering. The rise of mobile banking and crypto in Africa is a double-edged sword. On one side, it empowers. On the other, it offers anonymity and speed for criminals. Stolen funds zip through shell companies, get converted to digital currencies, and, thanks to lax regulations, are withdrawn in clean cash via prepaid cards issued abroad. For investigators, tracing the money is like chasing shadows. For criminals, it's a quick escape. Bulk SIM procurement is rampant. In one Senegalese raid, police seized 900 SIMs, each tied to a different fake identity, each used to circumvent banking security and launder funds. Perhaps most alarming is the wave of AI-driven threats. During Operation Serengeti, police uncover malware that rewrites itself on the fly, phishing bots that adapt messaging based on victims' replies, and increasingly sophisticated fraud techniques. The arms race is not slowing down, it's accelerating. On paper, Operation Serengeti is a marvel. 19 countries, unified command, 65 intelligence reports, and real-time data fusion. But behind every headline, there's a story of sweat, fear, and heroism. In the Cyber Fusion Center in Nairobi, analysts draw digital lines connecting suspects, methods, and money trails. They use threat intelligence from private partners. Kaspersky supplies malware signatures. Group IB deploys blockchain analysis tools. Fortinet helps identify vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure. Raids are coordinated at dawn. In Kenya, 24 suspects are swept up in under an hour. In Angola, police simulate a ransomware attack, triggering digital traps that expose the criminal ring behind the virtual casino. In Cameroon, the human trafficking compound is stormed, victims rescued, traffickers arrested, and a network exposed that stretches beyond Africa. Every success brings a new challenge. Servers are seized, but syndicates migrate to new domains within hours. Detectives crack a ransomware variant, only to discover its creators are already testing a new undetectable build. The human drama is intense. Investigators pull 20-hour shifts, chasing leads across currencies, time zones, and legal systems. Burnout is common. Hope is rare. Yet, every arrest could mean a life saved from ruin. Here, the criminal's genius lies in exploiting a loophole in global bank transfers. With fraudulent scripts, they sweep funds from customer accounts, use fake companies for immediate international transfers, then convert to stablecoins and Bitcoin. The operation is layered with complexity, using customer data from 17 banks and funneling assets all the way to Chinese e-commerce platforms. In Dakar, the Ponzi scheme is a hybrid monster, part investment scam, part AI-powered marketing machine. Forged contracts lend credibility. The $6 million haul is laundered through macaw casinos and returned to African ringleaders as winnings and property investments. In Yaoundé, the human cost becomes heartbreakingly clear. Interns are stripped of their passports and dignity, forced under threat to recruit more victims. Digital evidence seized includes flowcharts for expansion, scripts for new scams, and training guides, proof that the line between cyber and physical crime is blurring. Angolan police, using forensic tools rarely available in the region, dissect a virtual casino's back-end. 150 arrests follow. The syndicate's digital infrastructure is mapped, revealing links to drug money laundering from Brazil. Each bet on the rigged platform scrubs illegal funds on its way to shadowy bank accounts. Operation Serengeti's success is rooted in collaboration. Whereas previous operations netted only a handful of arrests, the new model uses real-time intelligence sharing, digital forensics, and private sector expertise. This unprecedented operation marks a turning point for African law enforcement, allowing agencies to respond to threats with speed and precision rarely seen before. But even as the operation celebrates victories, it exposes deep cracks and challenges. Out of 19 nations, only Kenya and Nigeria possess advanced cyber labs. In Madagascar, investigators rely on open-source software to analyze seized drives. Cases stall for months, evidence sometimes lost to time and technical limitations. Jurisdictional gaps remain a persistent obstacle. In Angola, some suspects walk free after just 6 months due to outdated gambling laws, even when evidence shows millions laundered. The lack of harmonized legal frameworks means criminals can slip through the cracks, exploiting differences in national statutes. Interpol pushes for a pan-African cybercrime treaty. Regional hubs for digital forensics are proposed, and there's a call for standardized cryptocurrency regulations to prevent future criminal innovation from simply relocating to friendlier legal regimes. Ambassador Jalel Chelba, Afropol's executive director, is candid. Through Serengeti, we've deepened our insight into cybercrime trends, but this is only the tip of the iceberg. The urgency is palpable. Law enforcement leaders convene in emergency summits, sharing intelligence and debating the best path forward. Some advocate for a continental cyber task force, while others push for rapid investment in training and equipment. Meanwhile, private sector partners, cybersecurity firms, banks, telecoms, are drawn into the front line. Their expertise is now indispensable, with joint task forces analyzing terabytes of data and tracing digital breadcrumbs across borders. Yet the criminals are evolving just as quickly. Syndicates adapt to every new tactic, testing law enforcement resolve and technical capacity at every turn. The arms race is relentless. For every breakthrough, a new challenge emerges. And so the battle continues, not just in courtrooms and command centers, but in the quiet moments between raids, as exhausted investigators prepare for the next wave. Throughout Africa, the ripple effects of Operation Serengeti are felt far beyond police stations. In bustling markets and remote villages, word spreads of the arrests and the technology behind the crimes. Community leaders organize workshops to educate citizens about online scams. Radio hosts invite cybersecurity experts to answer callers' questions, sparking public dialogue about digital safety. In schools, teachers use recent headlines as case studies, warning students about the dangers of phishing and identity theft. Young people, who make up the majority of Africa's internet users, are both the most vulnerable and the most resourceful. Some are inspired to pursue careers in cybersecurity, determined to defend their communities from digital threats. Meanwhile, survivors of cyber scams find support in new victim advocacy groups. These organizations offer counseling, legal aid, and a platform to share stories, transforming pain into collective resilience. Internationally, Operation Serengeti draws praise and scrutiny. Global media outlets highlight Africa's innovative response to cybercrime, while critics urge for even greater transparency and accountability in future operations. As the dust settles, one thing is clear: the fight against cybercrime is not just a matter for law enforcement, but a shared responsibility. Governments, businesses, and everyday citizens must work together, building a digital future that is both prosperous and secure. On paper, the scale of the crackdown seems enormous, but behind every data point is a victim. A grandmother in Nairobi who lost her life savings to a WhatsApp scam now fears her own phone. In Dakar, families sell cherished possessions to pay back debts to a vanished Ponzi. In Cameroon, Survivors of the internship struggle with PTSD, sharing their stories in hushed tones so that others might avoid the trap. The social cost lingers. Hospitals in Kenya spend months recovering encrypted records, delaying surgeries. Schools pause digital learning programs. Business owners lose faith in online banking, pulling investments and halting growth. Despite the suffering, Operation Serengeti brings hope, proving that global collaboration can deliver justice and that no criminal is truly invisible when the world works together. Operation Serengeti is both a turning point and a warning. Law enforcement knows that cybercrime will not be defeated by one operation or even by 1,000. Every group taken down will be replaced by others using new tech, AI-written scams, sophisticated fraud, and ever-advancing hacking methods. Already, follow-up operations like Red Card are underway, with hundreds of new arrests across West Africa. Authorities scramble to stay ahead, equipping digital forensics labs, recruiting ethical hackers, and pressing for international treaties that match the borderless nature of cybercrime. But criminals adapt just as fast, shifting techniques, weaponizing AI, and exploiting gaps in international law. In meetings from Nairobi to Lyon, law enforcement leaders share one key lesson: the fight is endless. It must be fought everywhere, across agencies, borders, sectors, and platforms. As dawn breaks again over Africa's cities and savannas, a new war is brewing in cyberspace. The story of Operation Serengeti, with its 1,000 arrests and millions recovered, is a testament not only to bravery and intelligence, but to the resilience and adaptability of both law enforcement and the criminals they chase. For every forum shut down, another springs up. For every ransomware decrypted, another variant is coded in a hidden chat room. Yet, for the first time, the digital hunters and the hunted are locked in a contest so vast and so consequential that the world can no longer look away. Operation Serengeti is a blueprint, not just for Africa, but for the globe. A warning that as long as there are vulnerable people and vulnerable systems, as long as there is profit in deception, the war for the digital future will rage on. And it is only through unity, vigilance, and relentless innovation that the good guys have a fighting chance to win. This is Cybercrime History. Until next time, stay safe, stay sharp, and stay informed with the next video.